I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I didn't even ask her why. I just walked away. And maybe that's what haunted her the most. That I didn't give her the argument she was prepared for. That I didn't beg for an explanation. Instead, I let her go. Silently, calmly, making it effortless for her to be with the man she'd already chosen. I left that night without a word. Filed for divorce the very next morning. Moved to a different city. Started fresh. And for an entire year, I never looked back. Then one day, out of the blue, she showed up at my doorstep. Eyes filled with guilt, voice barely a whisper. I made a mistake. Words I never imagined hearing from her. But the thing about mistakes, they don't come without consequences. We weren't flawless, but I believed we were solid. 6 years together. 3 years married. I never doubted her. Never imagined I'd need to. She was driven, always chasing the next milestone in her career. And I stood by her through it all. Cheered her victories. Never once felt threatened by her success. I trusted her. I trusted us. Then came the promotion. A big leap forward. More pressure, longer hours, frequent travel. I was proud of her. Told myself the added distance was part of the journey. That this phase was temporary. But the small signs started to build. Her private smiles at messages she wouldn't explain. Sudden work dinners that stretched into the early hours. The defensive tone whenever I asked about her day. I wasn't looking for reasons to question her. But the questions started to find me anyway. I still remember the night the truth hit me. She walked in smelling like cologne. Not mine. Something expensive. When I asked, she laughed it off. Probably someone at the office. I wanted to believe her. God, I tried to. But something in my gut twisted. And I couldn't shake it. Trust is strange like that. You don't notice how much of it you've built. Until it starts to collapse. The moment I began to question her, I realized. The very act of doubting meant something had already broken. I never wanted to be the guy who went looking for evidence. I always believed that if you had to search for the truth, you'd already lost the relationship. But suspicion doesn't sit quietly. It grows. And that night, it got too loud to ignore. Her laptop was open, left on the kitchen counter. She had just disappeared into the shower, avoiding eye contact, acting jittery. Something didn't feel right. I told myself it was probably nothing, that I was reading into it too much. But I looked anyway, and the moment I opened her messages, I knew I wasn't wrong. There it was. A thread with his name at the top. Her boss. It started off innocent. Too innocent. Then the tone shifted. I kept scrolling, and with each new message, the knot in my stomach tightened. Inside jokes. Late-night chats. Plans to meet outside of work. This wasn't just professional. It had never been. She'd been cautious. Deleting things when necessary. Keeping it just under the radar. But she'd missed a few. One message stood out. Sent just days before. I wish I was with you instead of going home. She'd written it while I sat alone at the dinner table. Waiting. Believing she was just working late. I stared at the screen. Heart pounding. Not from rage. Not even surprise. Just a cold, heavy certainty. Settling deep in my chest. It wasn't just that she had cheated. She had already moved on. While I was still stuck in place. Waiting, hoping, believing in something that had long since disappeared. I closed the laptop. Stood up. And walked toward the bedroom. There was no need to confront her. No need for questions. The truth was right there, laid out in messages she never expected me to see. She had made her decision. Now it was my turn. I grabbed a bag and packed only the essentials. A change of clothes, my wallet, my keys. No photographs. No souvenirs of the life we shared. Just what I needed to walk out that door and never come back. She stepped out of the shower, towel in hand, humming a tune, as if everything was perfectly normal. Maybe for her it was. Maybe nothing had changed. She smiled at me, oblivious to the fact that, within the past 10 minutes, she had lost me completely. I looked at her one final time, trying to memorize the face of the woman. I thought I knew. Then I turned, walked right past her, and left. No words. No questions. Nothing. Some people need closure. They want answers, apologies, a reason to hold on. I didn't. The truth had already spoken, clear, undeniable, and cold. All that remained for me was the exit. It felt unreal. I wasn't running. I wasn't exploding in rage. I was just finished. The weight that should have crushed me somehow lifted instead. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I could breathe again. I checked into a hotel that night, sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, letting the reality sink in. It didn't fully hit until I turned off my phone. No notifications, no calls, no texts, no desperate explanations, just silence. The next morning, I filed the divorce papers. No fights, no scenes, no pleading, just a stack of documents and a quiet, final decision. I left a copy for her back at the house, with a short note. You made your choice. Here's mine. In the days that followed, I waited for regret to hit, for guilt, hesitation, maybe even loneliness. But none of it came. All I felt was relief. No more lies. No more second-guessing. No more long nights wondering if I was just being paranoid. I relocated to a new city, rented an apartment, poured my energy into work, started hitting the gym regularly again. For the first time in years, my life belonged to me. Piece by piece, I started recognizing the man in the mirror again. Eventually, I heard what happened to her. Word travels fast. She and her boss didn't last. Office gossip revealed he had a pattern. She wasn't the first, and she wouldn't be the last. The life she thought she was trading up for, it collapsed. It wasn't what she imagined. And when it all crumbled, when there was nothing left to hold on to, she came searching for the man she had thrown away. What she didn't understand was, that man didn't exist anymore. A year had passed. 12 months of quiet. 12 months of healing. 12 months of moving forward. I hadn't thought about her in ages, at least not the way I used to. She had become a closed chapter, a part of my story I no longer reread. I didn't revisit that chapter anymore. It was behind me, or so I thought. One evening, I stepped outside my apartment, and there she was, standing on the sidewalk, nervous, uncertain, like even she wasn't sure why she'd come. For a moment, I questioned if I was imagining her. Then she spoke. "Hey, I've been trying to find you." I said nothing, just watched her shift uncomfortably, clutching her purse strap like it was holding her together. She looked changed, not by time, but by something heavier. She looked like someone who had been carrying regret for too long. Gone was the self-assurance she used to wear like armor. Gone was the smugness of someone who believed she'd traded up. What stood in front of me was someone who had finally come to terms with the cost of their decisions. I just wanted to talk, she said softly. I know I probably don't deserve that, but I had to see you. I leaned against the doorway, arms folded, silent, letting the weight of her words settle in the space between us. I made a mistake, she continued, her voice cracking. I don't even know what I was thinking, but I destroyed something real. And now I live with that every day. Her voice was raw, maybe even sincere. But sincerity doesn't undo betrayal. Truth doesn't erase the choices she made. And she wasn't here because she still loved me. She was here because someone else didn't. Why now? I asked. My tone was calm, even. Because your other plan didn't work out? She winced, eyes darting away like she couldn't bear the truth. I just realized too late what I gave up, she whispered. I gave a small nod, more to myself than to her. Yeah, you did. For a second, she looked like she might reach out, like she still believed there was a path back. But that's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just shatter trust. It extinguishes love. She made her decision a long time ago. And so did I. Take care of yourself, Emily, I said quietly. Then I stepped back inside and closed the door. I stood there for a moment, hand resting on the knob, listening. No knocking. No desperate final plea. Just the fading sound of footsteps disappearing into the night. And that was it. No dramatic confrontation. No last-ditch apology. No scene. Just the end. Not because she gave me closure, but because I'd already found it on my own. She didn't return because she missed me. She came back because what she chose had fallen apart. That's the truth people don't like to say out loud. If her new world had worked out, she wouldn't have looked back, wouldn't have searched for me, wouldn't have been standing there with regret in her eyes. But I wasn't a backup option, not a fallback plan, not the man to return to when the first choice failed. I walked to the window, watching her shrink into the distance, shoulders slumped, head low, carrying the full weight of her actions. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something unexpected. Peace. Because here's the truth. People rarely regret cheating. They regret losing. Losing comfort. Losing stability. Losing the version of themselves that existed in your love. She didn't miss me. She missed the security she once felt beside me. The version of herself that was safe in my presence. But that version of her? It was gone. And that's why you never take them back. Because if the other life had gone as planned, you'd have never crossed their mind. Some mistakes you can fix. Others you simply carry. And as I closed that chapter, finally, I understood something powerful. The greatest revenge isn't anger. It's not success. It's showing them that your life went on just fine without them.